Hey, Kentucky, this is Mary Jo Perino. Tonight, Lexington protesters continue their push for change in police department policy. We'll talk some UK football, and I'll go one-on-one with State Representative Jason Nemes. All that and more is next on Hey, Kentucky. Welcome to Hey, Kentucky, along with LEX18 Sports Director Keith Farmer, who's now got his own home studio.
Yeah, brand new. I got everything fixed up just in time for today, and you never know what may go up behind me, what may come down. I don't know. You
All
never
right.
know.
Well, we'll keep a lookout. I still don't see any pictures of your family or me up there, so maybe try to work on that.
I'll try on that.
Okay. All right. As racial protests continue across America, the ones in Lexington have been, for the most part, really peaceful. During a sixth night of demonstrations last night, a group of men took a knee in front of the Abraham Lincoln mural off Vine Street. Many of them held up signs reading, "I will remember George Floyd." However, over the last few days, there have been some cases of violence that led to arrests. On Monday night, police say a group of protesters attacked a vehicle that was driving on Midland Avenue toward Main Street. Investigators say the driver and his wife were both pulled from their car and beaten by 3 men. The driver suffered a concussion and his wife suffered a swollen eye. One man was arrested, but police are looking for help identifying another one. They have released a video that shows a group surrounding a car and have pointed out who they believe to be a suspect. His face isn't shown in the video, and it does not show an assault. Keith, sometimes I don't know exactly what to make of it when we can't really see what's happening in the video.
Yeah, and you don't know what was said maybe from the car. I mean, maybe there was something, maybe not, because there were also 3 children in the back seat. So I'm not sure these were the type of people to get onto a crowd of protesters. Maybe they were blocking their way, they got upset, but you're right. It's hard to say exactly what happened in this altercation. It'd be helpful if we could find the people that allegedly did this, though.
I just want to keep stressing, for the most part, everything has been pretty peaceful here. And the Lexington protests continue as activists have issued demands to police, which they say are aimed at keeping people of color safe. Those demands include ending no-knock warrants, recording officers' past misconduct in their personnel files, and removing limits to disciplinary consequences for officers. The deadline to make these and other changes to the collective bargaining agreement is June 30th. Mayor Linda Gordon says leaders are reviewing many things to improve the city, and she's working to launch a committee to review possible recommendations for the police department.
We can't ignore this. This is not that kind of a situation. And different people have different issues and want to see different things. My feeling is what we do is we take all this energy and we have a group of folks who represent the whole community, and we ask them to sit at the table and vet through what some of these issues are, and can we be better?
And Keith, I certainly think there is a way to be better.
Oh, for sure. I think even if you are just talking about a few bad apples that are out there, I think there is a way to make sure that things get taken care of before it starts. We've heard so many people coming up with ideas of policing. Dwayne Casey talked about how policing needs to have some community involvement very early on in the process when they're just starting out, not when they're 10 or 15 years into their careers.
Yep. All right. African-American faith leaders held a call to action in Lexington today, speaking on racial injustice and inequality. The event started at Main Street Baptist Church and ended with a peaceful march to City Hall. Religious leaders and other people of all races and religions walked and sang songs during the mile or so it took to make 3 stops to personally hand their list of requests to Mayor Linda Gordon, Police Chief Lawrence Weathers, and Sheriff Kathy Witt. There were many items on that list, including the elimination of no-knock warrants.
Therefore, we are asking Mayor Gordon, Chief Weathers, Sheriff Witt, and their counterparts in other communities to end the use of no-knock warrants.
It should be noted that sheriff's deputies in Fayette County do not use the no-knock tactic. Lexington police do, although they say it is rare. While today's rally wasn't political, the Reverend Joseph Owens did say the November general election is going to be the most important since the Civil War. And Keith, I think that might be a step in the right direction where we can agree that maybe no-knock warrants should be a thing of the past.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it just, we saw with the Breonna Taylor case how things can just take a horrible turn just because the person inside thinks, you know, what's going on here. So yeah, those definitely need to be something, like you said, thing of the past.
Yeah, that's one way to move forward, because there needs to be some action done. Like, people need to see some tangible action. That could be one thing, I think. Louisville was coming off its 7th night of protests today, with the most recent round remaining peaceful. But tensions do remain high. Among headlines from the Derby City, hundreds of police officers organized a protest of their own and walked out on Mayor Greg Fisher when he arrived to address them yesterday. Police were reportedly shot at early yesterday morning during reports of looting, and several people have been arrested for allegedly looting stores across the city. Meanwhile, one medical expert says protesters should get tested for COVID-19, and a public safety committee has unanimously passed a proposal to severely limit and monitor no-knock warrants. Keith, you know, the COVID part does worry me a little bit when we see these large groups.
Yeah, for sure. And you saw where, like the Oklahoma State football player, he tested positive, and he told everybody, please take care and you know, do what you're supposed to do because you are in a large group. Please get tested. So this is a concern for me, you know, that so many people are getting next to each other while this pandemic is still going on.
Absolutely. All right, turning to Kentucky football headlines. Is the Cats' schedule for 2022 weak? Some say yes. A CBS sports writer released a strength of schedule ranking for all 14 teams in the SEC, and UK came in at number 10. According to Tom Fornelli's methodology, the schedule is about 9% tougher than the national average and about 6% easier than the average of the other teams in the SEC. Meanwhile, Chris Oates seems to be improving nearly 2 weeks after news broke that the Kentucky linebacker had been admitted to the hospital with a serious medical condition. While we still don't have specifics on the illness, we know he's been moved into a rehab facility. Keith, strength of schedule is tricky because we don't know how good some teams are going to be and not be. I think Kentucky's got a chance to do some good things, though, this year.
Yeah, I think, you know, they're starting to get to that point where they've developed this program enough that they could maybe take on some teams, you know, like a lower tiered Big Ten or
Power
some
5,
other
yeah.
Conference USA team. Yeah, exactly. I think that could be fun for the fans. You know, but at the same time, you look at every SEC program and they have this type of schedule because they know how brutal the league is. So it's tough to ask for too tough a schedule early on when you know that it's going to be a grind in the SEC.
Absolutely. And we're not getting rid of that Louisville game. That's got to stay on the schedule, too.
Oh.
All right,
Yeah.
now to our weekly feature on Hey Kentucky, What's the Beef? Sponsored by the Kentucky Beef Council. A federal appeals court has upheld a lower court decision on a 2018 state abortion law. The law in question sought to make a common second trimester abortion procedure illegal. However, a federal judge in Frankfort struck down the measure because it created a, quote, substantial obstacle to the right to an abortion. And that's tonight's edition of What's the Beef? Up next on Hey Kentucky, we'll catch up with State Representative Jason Nemes. The Louisville Republican will offer his views on the racial protests, the pandemic, and much more. Stay with us.